Hey guys, this is H from H Tutorials 101, and over here I have a quick, simple setup on multicam editing. I have two cameras in front of me and an object in front of those two cameras, and that object is the Apple TV box, I guess, and on top of that is the mic that I'm using to record right now. So I have both these cameras running at 25 frames per second. You want to be able to have both cameras running on the same frame rate, so Final Cut Pro 7 could actually create a multi-line clip. Because without these two same frames per second, the multicam editing in Final Cut Pro 7 will not work. It doesn't matter if you're going to do it in Final Cut Pro 10, but for this tutorial I'm going to show you both of them, so it's gonna have to have the same frames per second. So, I have two cameras. This that I'm showing right now is the Canon, and this one is the iPad 2. Now, I managed to have 25 frames per second on the iPad 2 because I have an app called Filmic Pro, which allows me to take control over the frame rate of the camera in it. Because basically the iPad 2 only allows 30 frames per second. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough between both these cameras, so I'm going to go ahead and get started now. So I'm going to switch onto the Canon, the iPad 2, back to the Canon, back to the iPad 2, and then back to the Canon. So I'm going to take all this footage that I've taken right now, sync it all up in Final Cut Pro, and basically head back to the Mac and show you how to sync it all in Final Cut Pro 10 and Final Cut Pro 7. And yeah, so back to the Mac. Hey guys, I'm back on the Mac right here. So I have all my clips imported, and now I'm going to sync them all together so I could be able to do the multicam, basically create that multicam editing in Final Cut Pro 10. Now I'm going to start off first with Final Cut Pro 10 because most of you might know how to do this in Final Cut Pro 7. So let's go ahead and get started with Final Cut Pro 10 because I know most of you are quite a bit anxious to see this. So yeah, so first off, when you import all your clips onto the events library, maybe create a separate event for your clips, and then you're gonna go ahead and press Command A, right click, and then synchronize clips. Give it some time to synchronize. It might take a couple of minutes depending on how large your file size is, but for this one it's a really short clip, so it didn't take that long. So what the synchronized clip does is basically it finds the same audio point for each one of these files, and basically makes them start on that key point in the audio. So once you have your clip in the timeline, you want to right click on it and then click on break apart clip items. And so once you could see the basically the the keyframe or the key point in this clip is when I begin to start talking. So as you can see, all these clips have that same key point where it audio point actually where it starts to begin. So I'm going to keep it like that, and then over somewhere in the end, I started to actually tell or say onto the camera and the mic which camera to switch to. So for the best experience in multicam editing, you're gonna have to let it render. So let it render, let it sit, depending on how large your file size. Just let it sit and come back in a few minutes maybe, and then we'll start with the editing. Alright guys, I'm back. All my footage has been rendered, so I'm going to start ahead and show you how to do this. So first off, you want all the space you could get, basically. So I would recommend you go into full screen mode, and once you're in full screen mode, just go ahead and make sure that your audio is synced. To make sure that your audio is synced, you will hear an echo of your voice in the background. So let's go ahead and check that out. Mic that I'm using to record right now. So I have both. So as you guys can see, there was an echo in the background. So that means each one of these audio files is playing the same audio, but basically in different locations. So it's going to give it in different. So each one's going to sound differently. That's what I'm basically saying. So I chose a different audio file for this tutorial because it was basically simpler, and I wouldn't have to rely on both these devices. So if you have any device with a good microphone, you could be able to use it. But for this purposes, I'm just going to use one. So you could go ahead and basically mute all your clips, all your video clips, because we don't want these echoes. So once you're there, we basically have the part where you want to show the walkthrough, basically. So once you're there, you basically want to bring your mouse over, or your playhead over, to the area where you think you might want to change the camera, and mine, I believe, was here somewhere. Through between both these cameras, so I'm going to go ahead and get started now. So I'm going to switch onto the Canon. So there, the Canon, where I said the Canon, I want the Canon to show up. So you want to head over to the clip where it's above the Canon. So for this purposes, I have the iPad over the Canon. So the iPad, so it's iPad, this is the iPad, and this is the Canon camera. So you want to press M on that, basically on my iPad footage, and then you're gonna want to cut that. So you want to bring your playhead over to that marker, and then cut it. So once you cut it, you want to find the area where you head back over to the iPad. So it looks like it's this one because the pen is over that location. So then you want to head over to the Canon, or actually to the iPad, and then press on the marker again, and then once again you want to delete or cut that clip, and then delete the clip that's in the middle between both of them. So as you can see from here, what's going to happen is now. So I'm going to switch onto the Canon, the iPad 2. As you guys can see, it's switched from. So I was using the iPad 2 as my current camera, and then I switched it over to the Canon, and then I switched it back over to the iPad, and it goes on and on like that. So basically you're going to continue on back to the Canon. So where it said the Canon, I believe, was here. So you want to head over to that iPad clip, create another marker, cut that cut that clip, sorry, and then head over to the other place where you switch back, cut it, delete the middle. So it basically went from iPad 2 to Canon, back to iPad 2, and back to Canon, then back to the iPad 2, and then I believe it goes back to the Canon, and so on and so forth. So I guess that's it for Final Cut Pro 10. So why don't I go and show you how to do this in Final Cut Pro 7. Okay guys, so I've launched Final Cut Pro 7 and I have all my media imported. Now make sure you have both your clips on the same exact frame rate and the same exact basically length by width aspect ratio. So for example, both of my clips are 720p, 25 frames per second. And that's what you have to do for both of your clips, but you don't have to make them the same as mine, but you just have to have both your clips on the exact same level for this to work. So you want to press on Command, click on every single one of your clips, and create a Make Multi-Clip. And now here it's going to have through endpoints. So you want to go ahead and say yes. Click on your video, and now as you can see, once you double click on your clips, you're going to have these set of windows that you have right in front of you like I do. So if you skim over to, say, about, if I was about here, double click, now you'll see both these clips, and you get to switch between them. So like I said, you guys will get to click to switch between them. Now over here, you want to go ahead and click on open. So you want to make sure it's open so that when you click on it, it changes once you're running through the timeline. So once you have all your clips, make sure to open a separate window, view window for your multi-cam clip. Basically, you're gonna have to be switching through both these clips. So you're gonna have to start off with a timeline and then keep switching between these two clips. These two clips. So, for example, I say iPad, you go to the iPad, which I am right now, then back to the Canon, back to the iPad, back to the Canon, back to the iPad, back to the Canon, all while your clip is moving all the way from the beginning. And you'll see these little endpoints and outpoints being created on your timeline that actually help. So I guess that's it for this tutorial, guys. There are plenty other videos on Final Cut Pro 7 on how to be able to do the multicam editing in many different ways through Final Cut Pro 7. So if you guys, if this tutorial for the Final Cut Pro 7 one wasn't clear, uh, please be sure to check out some other videos, because basically this is all that I can do right now, because I was more focusing on Final Cut Pro 10. So if you need a more in-depth one for Final Cut Pro 7, I might make another video on that, or you can just go ahead and look up videos on that on your own. So I guess that's it, guys. I hope that the Final Cut Pro 10 multicam editing actually helped you in basically editing with multiple cameras. And I guess that's it. So please rate, comment if you have any questions, and subscribe if you didn't. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next.